Welcome to Shadow of Truth with your host Dave Kransler from investmentresearchdynamics.com and Rory Hall from thedailycoin.org. And today is Friday, July the 31st, 2015. And we've got just a quick market update for you guys. Dave, how's your day going?
So far, not too badly. See, the precious metals had a nice bounce this morning after they tried to hammer it once again overnight. But I got to admit, I'm looking forward to the weekend. How about you?
About the same. I'm just waiting on the weekend and trying to get all the news that matters up and running for all of our all the folks. So let's jump in here and see what we can make happen.
Sounds good to me.
I found an interesting article regarding South Africa and the yuan.
Oh, really?
And what makes it interesting is that it's South Africa, because what does South Africa primarily do? They primarily mine gold. They primarily mine gold and diamonds and platinum, I believe. That's their biggest things. And what has happened is that they are beginning to do a lot more trade in yuan. For example, June of 2015, the trade that they were doing in yuan soared by 31.3%, and that's up from 10.8% in June of 2014 and 4.6% in June of 2013. That's almost a 10-fold increase. It's an 8-fold increase any way you look at it. I mean, and that, to me, that's pretty massive. I mean, and that's another death nail for the dollar. I mean, if they're not swapping their gold and their diamonds and their platinum in dollars, and they're doing it in yuan, that's two things happen there. A, the gold, the diamonds, and the platinum travel east instead of west, and B, the dollar isn't traded on those transactions. Right? Am I right?
Well, here's what's interesting about this, Rory, because I scour the internet for news. I'm certainly not the most widely read in terms of, sources that I look for news, but I go way beyond the mainstream media and way beyond what, the average truth seeker probably goes beyond. And I don't have kids and I'm not married, so what the heck else am I going to do at night? I hate TV. So, and what's interesting about that is no one talks about South Africa, and I've never read about, this phenomenon that you point out, where what percentage of their trade now is done in yuan?
31.3%.
So that's 31.3%, which means, as you say, their gold, platinum, and diamonds are going to China,
right?
and they're doing the trade in China's currency, not the dollar. And that brings up another point, because what does the S in BRICS stand for? No one ever talks about this.
Right.
It's like the unspoken. It's like something that's just unspoken. Everyone, Brazil, Russia, India, China. Well, what's the S? It's not Sweden. It's not Switzerland. It's not Sudan. It's South Africa. That's actually a really interesting point that you brought up.
Well, the thing is that if you look at the BRICS as a whole, in South Africa, as you point out, everybody overlooks, but they're part of it. Those 5 nations make up 20% of the global GDP.
That is huge.
It's massive. I mean, and think about how, when the SCO, as this thing continues to unfold, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, as it continues to unfold, and China and Russia in particular, Russia with their Eurasian Economic Union, the EEU, as they are, siding with all of the Eastern Europe countries, and China is primarily, siding with all of the Eurasian countries. I mean, they're gonna be dominant. There isn't going to be any Western world we're all going to be speaking either Russian or Chinese or some derivative thereof. I mean, it's going to be 50 years from now, our world will not be what we see today by any stretch of the imagination. And if people don't start understanding this and start planning for it, then their children are going to wake up one morning and go, wow, Mandarin it is.
Well, let me just point out, well, two things. First, I mean, Jim Rogers probably considered one of the most foresightful and astute investors in the world. And he sold his New York City townhome and moved to Singapore and started schooling his kids in Mandarin a long time ago. So I'm sure he saw all this coming. But the second thing is, you said 50 years from now. You're assuming that the Earth is going to be existing in some sort of livable state of condition 50 years from now. And that's actually not my view. I think what's going to happen is when the reset is implemented, I think the U.S. is going to start flinging nukes. And that's, if for anyone who's listening to this who has read The Road, that's essentially what I believe is the premise behind The Road. And the author, Cormac McCarthy, does not give interviews at all about his work, and especially this one. So no one really knows what inspired it, why he wrote it. It's not even mentioned in the book that what happened was a nuclear war, but it's obvious. And I really think that that's where this is headed. So I hope I'm wrong, and I won't be alive 50 years from now anyway, but hopefully humanity's around, and if they are, I agree with you. They'll be speaking some form or derivative of an Eastern Hemisphere language.
Yeah, I mean, and now, well, if you remember in the interview that we just did with Jim Willey, he said that as soon as that a nuke is dropped, that the Chinese, the Russians, and everybody else are going to drop the ultimate nuclear weapon, and that is the U.S. treasuries. We cannot, the Western world cannot afford to continue blowing people up as everything is literally crumbling around them financially. They're not gonna be able to do that. I don't think. I mean, they're going to have to stop. Somebody's going to have to stop and pay attention, and they're not going to be able to continue pushing the button and say bomb them and bomb them and bomb them because everything's going to be, they're going to be surrounded. They'll have, the people that were bombing, they'll be upset and firing bombs back, and then they'll have the people that are here, the citizens of this country, who will be, hopefully with pitchforks and whatever, weapons that they have, and trying to oust these guys. Because
that ain't happening in this country, Rory. The U.S. public is completely brain dead. The U.S. public is going to be so flattened by what's coming. It's going to be a sight to behold. And it's not human nature to revolt anyway. I mean, look at the German population when Hitler's regime was in power. They complied with the government. It was kill or be killed. The French Revolution was enacted by about 1% of the population. Something like that isn't possible now because of the technology that the government possesses to put everything down.
Well,
and technology has been a wonderful thing, but it's also going to be the doom of mankind, in my opinion. And I hate to sound doom and gloom. I mean, believe me, I don't want it to end like that, and hopefully it won't.
Well, I'm going to stick with my sunny side of the street story.
You always do, and that's what we love about you. Do you have anything else on that that excellent article you found? I mean, I'm going to post it on my blog, and we'll post it along with this video.
Yeah. No, that's it. I know you wanted to talk about gold and the manipulation. So
that's a great find, by the way, Rory. I just wanted to mention really quickly here. I mean, everyone listening to this is well aware that there's been just an unprecedented media blitzkrieg of anti-gold propaganda, and it started intensifying in December, and it's been slowly building. I believe it hit a crescendo when that ridiculously absurd Wall Street Journal Gold is a Pet Rock article came out. That came out the Friday before gold was smashed, just literally smashed below 1100 in the quietest part of the trading evening. Between CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox Business, and Market Watch and Reuters, it's just every day. It's a continuous flow of anti-gold propaganda. And maybe the Pet Rock article didn't culminate it. Maybe that absurdly hallucinatory article that those academics wrote that was posted on Market Watch, where they said gold could go down to 350 and then its fair value was 875. That might have been the apex of the propaganda. However, at the same time as the propaganda has intensified over the last several trading days, I've also noticed that they've tried to take gold below 1180 several times. And as you can see in the graphic that I prepared, and it bounces, and most of the time it bounces on really no news or meaningless news that historically wouldn't have affected the price of gold. And today, for instance, it bounced over $21 from its overnight low. And it seems like what the pattern is right now is it gets hit right before Shanghai opens, which is the COMEX Globex futures contracts get dumped right before China opens. And then it gets hit, and then it rallies because China's buying physical gold all night long. And then it gets hit again when London opens and the LBMA starts trading. And then all this week, it's been bouncing during COMEX hours. And part of it's short covering, no doubt. But I also think a great friend and colleague of mine pointed out, he goes, in the context of all this enormous anti-gold propaganda and all of the enormous amount of paper gold they're throwing at the market, it's amazing that gold isn't lower than where it is now. And he pointed out that there's a huge bid for physical gold under the market. So I just wanted to point that out to our listeners. And just in terms of 2 points of, one is not shameless promotion. For anyone who hasn't heard it yet, you should listen to the 2-part Jim Willey interview that we did. I've been listening and following this guy since 2002, and I honestly and unbiasedly say this is one of his best interviews. It's Jim Willey unfiltered. There's almost no editing done to it, and he just, not only does he provide some incredible insights, but just some of the quotes that roll out of his mouth are hilarious, and they're also very insightful. And then the second piece is shameless promotion. I'm currently working on an updated version of my Amazon.con research report, and I'm adding a couple pieces to it. In addition to updating the numbers, etc., I'm adding a couple of sections to it that I was alerted to by a guy who is a former tech industry accountant who used to take a lot of these companies public during the tech bubble. And he pointed out 2 aspects to Amazon's accounting, one of which he wouldn't have even figured out, except he was alerted to it by an insider at the company. And my original report blew most people away who read it in terms of the misleading accounting and manipulation of accounting that Amazon engages in. This stuff is off the charts. And I'll hopefully have it finished up this weekend or early next week. For a short time, I'm going to offer it at the existing price. People who have bought it already and up through the first week at the existing price will get the updated version of the report. And then after it's been up for about a week, I'm going to raise the price. This research report's taking a lot of time, and there's not anything like it out there ever written on Amazon.
That sounds good. So everybody go and get you some.
It's just going to be, as my tech accountant source had said, when this thing crashes and burns, it's going to be the biggest individual stock bubble implosion we've ever seen.
Well, I want to step back for just a second, Dave, and I want to pinpoint something, and then we'll get out of here. And I want to get your take on this. Every time that the criminals come in and do their massive bombing of the gold market and the silver market, it's always on Sunday night, or the last two or three have been on Sunday night. Why isn't there someone, or how can someone, one of these traders, I'm not a trader, but how can these traders attack or counterattack something like that? Because we know that it's going to come on Sunday night, or there's, a very high likelihood. I mean, would there be a mechanism, or is there some way other than having someone sit and watch that market on Sunday nights to see what's happening in order to be able to jump in at the right time? Or how could we counterattack what they do? Or is it possible?
I mean, it is. You got to have nerves of steel. I mean, there probably are professional traders that take advantage of it. I mean, part of the game that they're playing is JP Morgan will unload, thousands of contracts at the quietest point in time on Sunday evening when there's very little volume.
Yes.
And what it does is it triggers the stop losses that the macro hedge funds have set in there, because the macro hedge funds up until last week were naturally net long gold futures, but they set stop losses in there, and their trading is all program trading controlled by computers. So JP Morgan will attack those stop losses, and when the stop losses are triggered, JP Morgan goes in there and covers. So, I mean, they're making nearly instantaneous profits when they do that. So if you look at the big red bar that occurred on that Sunday night, I'm sure JP Morgan was a fair amount of both the selling and the buying. I'm sure there are some professional traders that take advantage of it. I mean, you can look at the patterns on the chart, and if you're a small trader, small retail trader like we would be, I used to do this in silver. I used to stay up till 2 in the morning. This was around 2004 through 2006, 2007. I used to stay up till 2 in the morning and trade the silver market. And then I'd sleep for 3 hours and get back up and start trading it again. And I traded the patterns, and I made a lot of money doing it. And I actually stopped trading silver from my personal account in 2008 because the market was too manipulated. It was just too hard to make money off of it, because these guys now have all the inside information and they know what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. Back in, the mid 2000s, the market was not quite as manipulated as it is now, and there weren't as many traders, and there certainly weren't as many large hedge funds executing. There wasn't the HFT computer algorithmic trading that you see now, and that makes it even harder for guys like us to trade this market. I mean, the best thing to do is whenever you see gold get smacked, if you got extra cash, buy some silver, buy some extra physical gold. That's about all you can do.
Well, I was just trying to think of a way that we can, counter,
you can't counter it. It's this thing. I've come to the conclusion that either one of two things is going to happen. Either the dollar is going to collapse / vanish, like Jim Willie says, and I don't disagree with him, or the physical gold and silver market are going to completely overwhelm the paper market. There's going to be delivery failures. But I actually think that the dollar is going to collapse / vanish before that happens.
I don't know. I mean, right now, the U.S. Mint just this past week released a high relief 1 ounce gold coin, sold out in 4 hours. Went on a waiting list in 4 hours. 4 hours.
Understood. And that's the thing. I mean, if people want to try and counter this, just keep stacking physical gold and silver. I mean, it's baby steps. But at the same time, this market is still controlled by paper, and paper trades at 100-to-1 ratio versus physical, probably even more.
I was going to say at least 100-to-1.
Yeah, and so at this point, it's just like the stock market. It's controlled by the criminals, and they're using enormous amounts of paper to push it around. It will fail, and when it fails, it'll fail spectacularly. I think the best thing for guys of our meager stature to do is just sit tight and be right.
Sit tight and be right. There you have it. Well, all right, Dave. Was there anything else we need to discuss, or?
That's all I got.
Well,
I'm
all
ready for
right.
the weekend to start.
Yeah, and we need to do these a lot more often than we have been. And I apologize. I've been sick, as you know. I was sick for about 10 days or so, and I promise that we'll get more of these market updates out to you guys in more of a timely manner. So look for more to come.